The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. Between science and ignorance, there is filler.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the multimedia thing that is Paranormal Filler. I'm your host, Wes Forsyth, and if everything's working, we actually do have Paranormal Filler TV on for this episode that is airing January 22nd, 2017. My guest tonight is Patrick Doyle. You remember him from Sci-Fi's Ghost Mine. He did a little thing for Reel's channel called Behind the Screams, and he's got a new project coming up called Man vs. Paranormal on the Dark Zone. We'll be talking about that a lot during the show. If you were wondering, Off Topic is on hold. That's my other show that I was doing on Sunday nights. We put that on hiatus while I work on this project so that I can concentrate on Paranormal Filler TV. Now, I will also say that nobody's really contacted me with a topic that I wanted to talk about on that show, Off Topic. I went to Patty Starr's Mystic Fair today. The new location on Whipple Court in Lexington is fantastic, but it's going to take some getting used to. It is like, I liken it to buying a new pair of shoes. The old pair of shoes had holes in them. They leaked when it rained, but they were so damned comfortable. Well, this place is really nice. It's just going to take a while to make it comfortable. But so anyway, got that going on. And if you were wondering, if you're a friend of mine on my personal Facebook page, I just shared it tonight over to the public page, the ihuntghost.com page. But really bad tarot reading is going to be a thing. I'm going to try every week or two to do everybody a really, really bad tarot reading. And I got a really good response from that. So I'm looking forward to that. So everybody, we're going to be with Patrick here in just a moment. Enjoy the show. And Mr. Patrick Doyle, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Wes. Great to be here.
I was so pleased that you even wanted to come on my little corner of the internet here. We're going to talk about Ghost Mine a little bit. The first season of Ghost Mine, I saw every episode, loved it, studied it. But honestly, it was like, and Sci-Fi is famous for this. The second season, it's like boom, and it was gone. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get to catch the reruns, and so anything that I missed, I got to see part of the second season. So, if anybody's not familiar with it, the premise was that there was an old gold mine that was, it was notoriously haunted before these people ever decided to open it back up. Correct?
Yes.
And Patrick, along with Kristen Lumen, went in, and in the process of mining this place, they did an ongoing paranormal investigation. What did you decide all was connected? Because I know that it seemed like At first, it started off, you were thinking it was going to be fairly simple, and then it kind of branched out where you were finding things that didn't lock in. What were your personal takes on what was going on at the mine at the end of the day?
So you're breaking up a little bit there in the audio, but I think I caught the question. After the 2 seasons were basically complete and we left the mountain, our final results, our final kind of take on everything that took place, the whole 2 summers we were there, is that we were dealing with more than one spirit or one type of spirit. We felt as if we were dealing with not only the spirits of the miners past, we are also dealing with elementals. We were dealing with shadow figures. We were dealing with things that weren't as pleasant to deal with. I'm not going to say demons, but I'm just saying things that definitely didn't want us there.
I would just argue that, or not argue, but elementals in general have they get really pissy.
Oh yeah,
just for no reason. What led you to think that you were dealing with so-called earth spirits or elemental spirits?
Well, in mining itself, they have what is called the Tommyknockers. And when you look at the definition of a Tommyknocker, it's elfish, it's a little green man that lives in the mine. And it basically, the definition plays into the elemental earth spirits, the gnomes. Mm-hmm. So when we went there, a lot of the old-time miners, when you look at Dick Duck, which is Graybeard, Papa Smurf, you look at those older guys, they do believe in the Tommyknockers legend. That if the mountain is telling you something, that's the Tommyknocker saying, get out, and they listen to that voice. And once I got there, once Chris and myself got there, we basically paid respect to these elemental spirits. One night, not on camera, I made an offering of whiskey to the spirits of the mine, the elemental spirits of the mine, these Tommyknockers, just to make sure we were safe while we were investigating.
This gets in, because of what you just brought up there, this gets into an entire range of the paranormal. We try to fit the paranormal a lot of times in little boxes, like ghost hunting. A lot of people have wanted to move away from that term because we're not always finding, quote unquote, ghost. I don't have a problem with the term because that's what I'm looking for no matter what I find. Mm-hmm. But this is going to kind of transition into your blog. Everybody, if you want to play it, the home version, theghostdidit.com. Theghostdidit.com is Patrick's personal site. Sections of it are also posted at thedarkzone.tv, and that's where I found some of the ones that really interested me. Mm-hmm. When we're talking paranormal theory, do you personally think that the different types of beings that you've just described, how close do you think they all exist in the same plane of relationship off of ours, or do you think that when we investigate, we're delving into different areas? In other words, yeah, we might find ghosts, but the reason we may find ghosts and we may find elementals, but not necessarily. Do you think they're related, or do you think that these are, in the multiverse theory, branches that we access at the same time?
Well, in the last blog I actually wrote on theghostdidit.com, I ended it by saying there will be no one answer to what we're investigating right now. Because I believe, like, to go back to your question, it's different levels. Like we have the hauntings with possibly the spirits of those who passed. We have the elementals. We have the cryptids. We have shadow figures, which I think are different than the spirits of the dead. So when we're going out, we have to remember that we're not just speaking to the dead. We could be speaking to a multi-dimensional being. We could be speaking with an elemental that's been here long before humans even existed. So we can't basically put all our eggs in one basket when we're investigating and doing our research.
Now, one of your blogs that really caught my eye was Prove It. Now, this one, I found it on the Dark Zone, but it was pulled from your other blog, as I found out. There was a couple of quotes in it that I just loved, and you point out how we can't rely on the scientific method because we're right now anyway. Paranormal events cannot be repeated under the quote-unquote laboratory environment.
Yes.
My personal thing is I'm hoping that if we collect the data accurately enough, the right data, that maybe we can't, I don't know that we can recreate them, but I would like to think at some point we have the measurements down enough that we can predict them. In other words, we know when this paranormal event is going to happen.
That would be a huge step, actually, if we could actually do that. But of course, to do that, we're going to have more unity within the field. We're going to have some kind of database where everyone could put that information in, and people have to basically be collecting the same amount, the same types of data when they go out and do these investigations. So when we look at it, we have that chart, that information that we could kind of pinpoint, okay, this might happen at this exact point in time at this place.
I'm not sure if it was that blog, but in one of them, I loved the line you put in there about, at this point in paranormal research, we're cavemen looking at a 747. That explained it very well. Yeah,
that's how I usually, that's how I start a lot of my speaking engagements when I go to events. It's like, when it comes to the paranormal, we're just cavemen waving clubs at 747s, because that's the way you really got to look at it. There is going to be an explanation to what we're experiencing. We are going to find answers to how do ghosts move objects? How do they communicate with us? How are we hearing these voices on these voice recorders? But at this point in time in our evolution of paranormal research, I don't think we're there yet. I think it's going to be an easy answer as it is for, it's going to be an easy answer as a 747 is to us right now. But it's a hard answer because a caveman doesn't know what a 747 is.
Right. Do you think, and this is not so much based on your field work, but I know that you do some paranormal conventions and you talk to the teams out there.
Yes.
Do you see any movement in the field towards that direction?
I'm glad to say yes, that it's taken a while. Like, let's say 10 years ago, I would say no. But now, I think people are starting to take what they've seen on TV, and they've taken that love that they've seen on TV and started their own groups. They've gone out, they've had their own experiences, and they've conducted their own experiments on other ways of other techniques and investigation techniques. And I think people are questioning more. They're asking more questions. They're not just like 10 years ago is, I saw that on TV, I'm going to do the exact same thing at this location I'm at. Now they're saying, okay, that worked this way. What if we did it this way? What if we just changed it that little bit? And that's all I really ask in my blogs. I have the blog I do now is called Wednesday What If. And the what ifs are sometimes crazy, sometimes outlandish, bordering on science fiction, but they're not answers to the paranormal. They're just those what ifs that I hope to get people thinking, to stretch their imaginations, or maybe someone out there right now is working on an experiment, and one of my what ifs triggers that thought that just kind of opens it all up. And that's all I really want to do with everything I do. I was recently asked, what do I hope people remember me for in the paranormal? And I want to be one of those people that pushed people. I don't need to be the person that proved what ghosts are. I don't need to be that person that took the amazing photograph. I just want to be someone who pushed the right person in that direction to get us an answer.
Everybody, you're listening to Paranormal Filler. My guest is Patrick Doyle. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. Are you exhausted with life? Resent your children? Maybe your husband is cheating on you. Get yourself a tarot reading with Ken Boggle. He can provide you with the clarity, guidance, and answers you need. That's tarotbyken.com. He makes things seem less shitty. And welcome back to Paranormal Filler. I'm talking to Patrick Doyle of Sci-Fi's Ghost Mine. Now, Ghost Mine was a neat concept in that I like the fact you all were there. You were living there.
Yes.
It was 24 hours a day, maybe a trip to town over the course of the week, but you were kind of confined. You were locked in to the event. Your new show, my understanding is that it's you and a camera and the woods.
And whatever is out there in the woods. True.
150 hours at a time.
At least, yeah. The minimum time out there is 120, which is 5 days.
You obviously have a much larger fire in your mind for the paranormal than I do, because that's why I don't hunt Bigfoot. First of all, it involves a lot of walking in the woods, and I like sleeping in my bed at night. What I'm going to go back to the paranormal stuff, but what is it in you? What drives you to? I guess the word would be isolate yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's a good question.
And to get so into to go so far. That's a way to put it. To go so far to get the data you want.
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's basically been a long time coming because I've always been an individual in the paranormal field, like where I've always never was part of a group. Let's say I began my research at a young age. It was just me. There were no paranormal teams in my area that I knew about, so I would just do my investigations by myself. I would do my research by myself. And it wasn't until later on in life where I started meeting other people who shared the same interest. So being alone out and doing research was nothing new to me. I have a love for wilderness camping, survival skills and stuff like that. So, and that kind of played a little bit into Ghost Mine because we were out in the middle of nowhere. There's wild animals. There were a few nights where we stayed out there. But it wasn't until Man vs. the Paranormal where the two of my greatest loves came together into one, and that is survival, wilderness camping, and the paranormal. So for me, it sounds like one of those crazy ideas. Why would anyone want to go out there for 5 days with limited gear, just a camera, a bunch of batteries, and rough it to look for answers? And for me, it's a dream come true. It's in this first season, it really paid off. It was an amazing location, got amazing activity, and I can't wait for people to see it.
How much can you tell me? I want to know what type of location you trudged through the woods to get to.
Let's see how much I got to share without giving it away. It's the location is in the North Cascade Mountains in Washington State, and it's an old lumber camp. And this was a location that was given to me from a fan of Ghost Mine, actually. It's because when we were filming Ghost Mine, I get emails all the time, people saying, "Oh, you should check out this area, you should check out this mine." And I just kept it kind of just a log of those locations, just in case I ever were in those areas. And when this show came around, I remembered this logging camp story, because it was like always at the top of my list of a place I wanted to check out. So I contacted the person. I said, how do I find this place? And it was pretty tough. They had to basically do a hand-drawn map because the location isn't on any map. It's never been researched before. It's never been investigated. So it was tough to get there. But once I did get there, the claims I was told about, I had similar activity.
Was the person that brought this to your attention? Now, was this place someplace that they had been? Was it an urban legend? I mean, because as you point out, it had not been investigated. It had not.
Yes.
It wasn't on the maps. I guess, how did they know where it was?
They knew because it was passed down through their family, because their great-grandfather was one of the loggers at the camp. And, of course, the first episode, I'll get into the whole story, but in short, the log site owners, they disappeared without a trace. And the great-grandfather of this person who told me, it's like this person, that person, he was one of the people that discovered that the two lumber site owners were gone. They were missing. And
the ghost stories ensued after that.
Yes.
Over the years.
Yes.
Now I'm going to kind of tie this in. I watched a little video you had. I'm not even sure it was on your site. I think it was on the Dark Zone site.
Mm-hmm.
But you and Jay, while in the midst of some downtime filming Ghost Mine, you went out and you had a shared experience at this adjacent logging place, mining place, whatever it was. But the thing is, basically you had a shared experience where you hit a cold spot. But I was amused at the difference, obviously, in that area versus Kentucky. Because you all found this vintage dump truck, and you were playing with, and the dump bed still worked and everything.
Yep.
And I was amused because, that wouldn't exist in Kentucky. I don't care how far off the beaten path it is. Some meth head would have gone in there and hauled that thing out piece by piece.
And that was like one of 5 vehicles that we found on that property. But that was actually in Oregon. That was not too far away from where we were filming Ghost Mine. And we shot that on a day off, basically. So it was me and Jamal, who are in the clip, and then Jay and Kristen were there, but they were in a different building. So the property itself is called Cabell City, and it was called a city because the owner of this landstead built so many buildings that it basically got the nickname of a city. So we were checking out this guy's dump truck, and we felt that presence. And there was a few other things that happened in that garage that Jamal and myself could not explain. We saw a shadow figure walk by the windows. We heard someone basically walking through the gravel where we thought it was Jay and Kristen coming up the path to meet us. And we called out, "Hey, Jay, Kristen, we're in here." No answer. 2 seconds later, walk out, no one there. So it was a very interesting experience, not only for us, Kristen and myself, but the miners who really didn't have that many experiences under their belt.
It was a neat little clip, and I enjoyed it, but I just, in Kentucky, we've got lots of ghosts in Kentucky. Plenty of ghosts. We are asshole deep in ghosts in Kentucky and haunted locations. But when I saw that old dump truck, I said, oh my, there would be 5 crackheads hauling that thing out of there on their shoulders.
It would have been tough. You'd have to take it on your shoulders because it's that Cabell City is like so overgrown. It's probably like has 25, 30 years of tree growth, like basically locking everything in. So bring a chainsaw.
I'm just going to tell you, you have no clue how much trouble these people will go to not have a day job. I mean,
yeah.
it's incredible. Okay, now I want to talk about the Dark Zone.
Okay.
I actually have 2 accounts because I followed your link and forgot the original user ID that I used.
Oh, there you go.
But I signed up like day 1 when they
great.
announced
Thank
it.
you.
There wasn't even anything there. Tell us what the Dark Zone is and is planned to be.
All right, so right now we're at the very beginning stages of the Dark Zone, where Carl Pfeiffer, he has his show, The Spirits of the Stanley Up, and the final episode of that show is going to be this week. So if you're on the Dark Zone, I hope you're enjoying that. But what's coming up is it's a lot bigger. What we have planned for the Dark Zone is huge. It's not only going to be original content like Man vs. the Paranormal. Susan Slaughter has a show called Hipster Haunts coming out. Dave Schrader has a show coming out. But it's also going to be this location where if you're interested in the paranormal, and I'm not just meaning ghosts, I'm talking about ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, any kind of cryptid, shadow figures, you name it. If it's paranormal, it's going to be on this website in some form, be it blogs, stories from the world, even the opinions and stories from Dark Zone members. And speaking of members, membership is completely free. So when you go to the Dark Zone, it's going to say sign in, but the sign in completely free. You're not going to get hit with ads. You're not going to get bombarded with hey, you should pay us now, because it's free. It's always going to be free. And our main goal, our mission is to provide you with the best paranormal content that basically you want. We've all worked in the business. Everyone who's a part of the Dark Zone, we're going to be adding new talent on. So we have basically heard from the fans at conventions, at events, through our emails, through our social networks, of what people want to see when it comes to paranormal programming, and we're bringing that, we're creating that, we're bringing it to them, and it's all going to be on the darkzone.tv.
Now, being a capitalist as I am, you go there, you sign up everybody, it's free.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I signed up twice, so it's free. But it's not, because I'm not being bombarded with ads. How are you all have got to monetize this somehow, some way?
Yeah, right now it's just been funded by us, by everyone involved with the Dark Zone. But eventually there'll probably be some ads. But you look at YouTube, it's the same way. It's going to be the same thing. You're watching YouTube videos for free, but there's that little ad at the beginning or the ad at the end, or you're going to see a banner ad. That's just a part of being on the internet. You have to fund it somehow.
No, you don't. Listen to anybody. It's free.
And we're hoping to have sponsors. So, like, right. Example, my show, Man vs. the Paranormal. Maybe, I don't know, a knife company will sponsor my show if I carry their knives, that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair.
So anything we could do, our main goal, we'll do whatever we can, just so you're not paying for it. We want, again, this is for the fans.
I read the background of some of the shows, and of course I like the concept because, like you alluded to, the shows are aimed towards the way people have told you, this is what I'd like to see in a paranormal show. Now, the weakness on TV, people complain about TV, but the paranormal reality shows, they're not. I am not the target audience. You know, the serious investigator, the person who's actually passionate
mm-hmm.
about the paranormal is not that target audience. So the shows have to be, is watered down too strong of a word, fluffed up maybe, to make them palatable to the great unwashed masses.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but with this type of a network and these type of shows, you all can do that. Now, do each of you bring your own vision of what you want on the network?
Yes, it's like I said, like Man vs. Paranormal is two of my loves brought together. Susan Slaughter, she's bringing a show that's really near and dear to her heart. Carl Pfeiffer, who was basically who was the team leader of the Stanley Hotel investigation group. So he's bringing his take on the investigation of Stanley, and we all investigate in different ways too. It's like I investigate a lot differently than the way Susan does and the way Carl does. They do different types of experiments, and we kind of have to too because of our environments. So you're not going to investigate the same way in the middle of nowhere in the wilderness, the same way you're going to do in the Stanley Hotel or at a concert hall in LA that Susan will be doing. But to get back to like what you were saying about TV shows having to be for the masses, we're kind of getting away from that as well because, again, we were part of the shows, so we can eliminate a lot of that because we know of that fluff that's out there. So we could cut that from the shows that we're putting out there. And plus, there's going to be shows for the people who are not interested in the TV shows, but really interested in just paranormal investigation, like the raw, gritty, sitting quietly in the dark for 7 hours, those type of people. It's because Dave Schrader, he's going to be having a show where it's basically true stories of the paranormal. So where it's like listeners or viewers would share their stories. It's like, oh, when I was at Waverly Hills, or when I was at this residential case. And so we'll be bringing those cases as well. So you're not going to be just watching quote unquote paracelebs and their new projects.
Now, if you all happen to get into the market for a second-rate podcast host with a video presentation, just holler at me.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm going to put that out there because that's what I do.
Noted.
We're going to take one more commercial break, everybody. You're listening to Paranormal Filler. TarotByKen.com. Unlike other tarot readers, Ken reads multiple spreads during each session to provide you with clear, concise answers and guidance. Don't take my word for it, I'm just a voice on the radio. From Kelly, one reading with Ken completely changed things around for me. Jennifer, I feel so rejuvenated about my life. Melissa, it has changed my life. Visit TarotByKen.com to arrange your own tarot date, or you can call or text Ken at 859-229-4833. And welcome back to Paranormal Filler. I am talking to Patrick Doyle of Sci-Fi's Ghost Mine and the new show on the Dark Zone, Man vs. Paranormal. Okay, now let's I'm doing the show exactly opposite of the way anybody with any sense would do. Now I want to hear about what triggered your interest, your passion in the paranormal. Okay.
I can actually pull a page from my book here.
Which is on camera, everybody.
If you're watching on camera, and I hope you are, it's got the book right here in hand. But it's similar to a lot of people who are in the paranormal who are really passionate about the paranormal. It started at a very young age for me, at the age of 7. But if you think back to when you were 7 years old, or if you have a 7-year-old child right now, you don't know much about ghosts when you're 7 years old. You don't know about much of anything when you're 7 years old. You know how to tie your shoes, maybe. You want macaroni and cheese with hot dogs in it. But when it comes to ghosts, you really don't have a reference. My only reference was Scooby-Doo and Casper. And one of them had friendly in the title. And Scooby-Doo, you just pull the mask off Mr. Jenkins and the case is solved. So when I was 7, I saw a shadow figure in my basement. And I was playing video games, heard a noise coming from the basement, opened the door, looked down the stairs, and there's a shadow figure staring at me. And it's funny, like lately in the paranormal news, everyone's talking about the man in the tall hat. I've been talking about the man in the tall hat for years now because that's what I saw. I've even made my shadow figure in the tall hat one of the main villains in my first Edgar Font book, just to get it out of my head. But when I saw the shadow figure at the age of 7, I wasn't afraid. Again, I didn't have any frame of reference to demons, evil spirits, devils, or anything like that. And I went to church, but that wasn't really hammered in your head that demons and ghosts appear as they do like this did. So once I saw it at the bottom of the stairs, I didn't run away. I actually took a step towards it. And when I did that, the shadow figure basically turned and walked away. And that was basically what got me thinking about what was that, and what are we dealing with. And it was just one of those passions that grew over years, slowly at the first.
When did you actually when did your interest get to the point where you could say that you started investigating? And you can use the term loosely.
Yeah. Investigating probably, I would say, late teens. So, and it was very loosely investigating. It was basically, I'm in this cemetery. Let me take a look around. And I grew up in Northern Virginia, battlefields everywhere, walking through a battlefield. My dad lives 2 blocks from Manassas battlefield. So, yeah, you're just walking around the battlefield and you get that sense, you get that feeling, and it turns into a loose term investigation. So, again, that was late teens.
So, kind of a standard question I ask. Now, looking back at when you were early active in the field, have your views changed over the years as far as what you think you're observing or your belief structure?
I think everyone's beliefs need to change if you're really passionate about this field. Because when I was first getting started off, it never was just a really, I believe. It was never 100% I'm seeing ghosts, I'm seeing dead people. It's always been a, what if it's something else? What if it's in my head? What if it's psychological? What if it's something that's can be proven with science or physics or whatever it is? So yeah, I've changed a lot in many of my opinions. Probably too many to even list, to even think about. It's like when I try to pinpoint one, I really can't, because I think when it comes to paranormal, there is no answer yet. We talked about the caveman waving the club at 747s. For me, yeah, we have no answers yet. And we just had to keep pushing, changing our opinions, restructuring our ideas, asking new questions until we do have those answers.
But okay, country boy from Virginia, I'm guessing it's a reach, but you were raised in a very similar theological background to myself. I'm assuming that you have those Judeo-Christian roots. Do you feel that they have been and tell me if I'm wrong, of course, but has that helped guide you through your evolvement of your belief structure, or do you think that was all wrong? Tell me where you're at theologically, belief structure wise.
Yeah, I went to Catholic school for a couple years when I was younger, and again, I was one of those kids that didn't take it 100%. I asked questions. I went to the priest would always ask me, "It's what do you think?" And I'd be very honest. It's like, well, this story really didn't make sense to me. It's like, how is this possible? And instead of beating their ideas into me even harder, I was praised for thinking more, thinking beyond. And I had a really good relationship with that priest, because he allowed me to have other ideas. And I think that is something I've always taken with me as well. It's like where, okay, I don't have to believe in one idea. Even though the masses are saying this, I'm allowed to rock the boat, so to speak. And those people who are comfortable with their beliefs can accept that I am questioning, because there are those people that will not accept that. They will say, "No, why even bring that up? You must believe this." So I've been lucky in my life to have key figures in my life who allowed me to question.
Now I want to jump over to your books, because now this is one thing. Okay, this came as a surprise to me.
Usually is.
Yeah, but I actually did a little bit of research before tonight. Normally it would be like, oh, you mentioned books. No, I actually did go to the website. But when you were on Ghost Mine, really about all the information I knew about you was that you were a paranormal investigator. And honestly, as far as Kristen, all I really knew about her, everything I knew about her was I thought she was a model. I mean, so that was she had done some of that.
That was the rumor. Yeah.
Did I know in one of your bios you said that she had worked with you several times before Ghost Mine. How did she come into your paranormal life? Is the first question I want to ask before I get to the books.
Just paths crossing. It's like you meet people at events, at conventions, with similar interests, and it was just that same way. It's emails, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace back in the day. It just kind of happened. We just started talking through social media, shared some similar ideas, and when Ghost Mine came about, it was like just seemed like a perfect fit because we were two sides of a coin.
Fair enough. And in TV land, it doesn't hurt that you're both attractive to the demographic.
There we go.
I will put it that way. Okay, on the books.
Yes.
First, the Edgar Font series. Who is Edgar Font, and what are these books about?
All right, Edgar Font is actually being re-released this year by Rothko Press in LA, and Edgar Font is a grandfather. He is, I like to describe him as Indiana Jones, but now he lives in a retirement home. And if anyone's watching video, that's Edgar right there. I'm holding up the book for those not watching the video. So Edgar has lived an amazing life, an outstanding life. He's gone to places that aren't on the map. He's just had these amazing adventures, and now he's seeing that the end is coming, and he doesn't want to haunt this retirement village that he's living in when he dies. So when his two grandchildren come to visit him over the summer, the three of them go out and investigate different houses that he is considering haunting. So each book talks about each one of those locations. And of course, once they get there, the adventure becomes something more than they expected.
Okay, now let's go into paranormal theory a minute. You brought up an interesting concept. Do you think, and I'm going to base this on the limited number of ghosts. I believe there's plenty of ghosts, don't get me wrong. If you do the math, bazillion people die, 1% stick around. We got ghosts. Okay, cool enough. But I've never really thought about the concept of I got to find a place to hang around. What triggered is that line of thinking for the character?
It sounds weird when I say it, but the whole idea came to me in a dream. The character Edgar Font came to me in a dream. He told me the whole concept, and when I woke up that morning, when I was finished with my coffee, I had basically the outline for the first couple chapters of the first book. So I can't explain it. It just kind of popped in my head one night. It could have been the spirit of Edgar Font. Don't know.
That's actually a much more interesting answer than I thought I was going to get out of it. Okay. Now, I'm taking it that Ghost from the Ground Up is more of an autobiographical type book. What all do we get to learn about you in that book? Give us a quick synopsis.
Yeah, so Ghost from the Ground Up, you have to imagine when we were up on the mountain, we didn't have much to do. I think we had 2 television stations, limited radio, and it was both religion and country networks, and so let's just say we had nothing to do. So when we were up there,
somebody should have handed you a shovel.
Start digging. We did enough of that during the day. So this is off hours. So during the off hours, I would just write because that's what I do. I write books. So I just started writing. And when you're out there in the middle of when you're in Sumter, when you're up on those Blue Ridge Mountains, not the Blue Ridge Mountains, but the Blue Mountains, and you just kind of look out and you see the Milky Way, and just most people don't see that many stars in their life. It just opens up your mind and it opens up all these ideas. So instead of letting these ideas escape, I just started writing them all down. So Ghosts from the Ground Up is a collection of theories I had while I was up there. A lot of it based on the activity we were having. But I also tell some stories that were never shown on air.
My wife, Anita, is in the chat room. You hear that, Anita? I need to get locked in a mining camp for 3 months. That's what everybody tells me I should write. I come up with all these wild theories, and they just go into the ether because I never do anything with them other than might mention them in passing.
Yeah, that was like funny. Like just reminded me, like end of season 1. It was like the last day we were going to be up on the mountain, and I was just sitting on the berm, which is that dirt pile, so you don't drive over the side of the cliff. I was sitting on the berm, just staring at the stars. And one of the field producers comes up and they go, "What are you doing?" I said, "This might be the last time I see this, so I'm taking it all in." And they just kind of went, "Oh," and walked off. So it was just that beautiful up there. It's hard to explain unless you actually see that. If anyone's ever been out in the middle of the desert and you see how many stars there actually are in the sky, when you see the Milky Way above you, it basically puts the world in perspective. It puts your small part in this universe in perspective.
I was just reading on Facebook today that the flat Earth people say that's all an illusion. That the sun's like 3,000 miles away. Blah blah blah. Anyway, yeah. it was some wild stuff. Now here's a book that after all this serious discussion we've had.
Yes.
I seriously doubt if anybody would expect to go to your website and find a book called The Lair of Forgotten Bears.
I'm going to hold that one up for video people there. Lair of Forgotten Bears. Where's there it is. Yep, and Lair of the Forgotten Bears is a children's picture book with rhyming text, and it's for moms, grandmas, dads to read to their kids. And this is a book that's been in my head for about 15 years, and I started writing it 10 years ago. So it's been a labor of love, but I do all the illustrations, and it's just a nice little story about. Well, the question comes: what happens to our teddy bears after we outgrow them? And the answer in the book is they go to the lair of forgotten bears. And once main character Copper, he loses his bear, but he doesn't mean to lose his bear, so he has to go find his bear. And he ends up at the Lair of Forgotten Bears, where he meets all these other bears who help him find his. And we got bears who are won at the fair. We have bears that were puppets. We have bears that were given away as Valentine's Day gifts.
That's what that big one in the middle is, isn't it? That's one of them big suckers I see advertised on TV.
Yes, that is Ring Toss. Ring Toss was won at a fair.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about the ones that they try to talk you into giving your girlfriend every Christmas, and I'm thinking,
oh yeah,
no.
Those I'm going to hold that picture up. There they are. Those are the Valentine's Day bears, and their names are Breakup, Honey, and Sweetheart.
For the record, listeners, my childhood teddy bear is on my headboard. I have kept it all these years after it passed through a couple of nieces and nephews, and I wanted to share that with you. Because
you said that, I had to go and show you the inspiration for mine.
Oh, that looks just like mine, except now the belly's still white on mine.
Yeah.
It still matches. It has the same color as the paws.
So that one's been in my life since I was probably like 6 months old.
The only challenge I have in my life, I do have to keep it away from the dogs. Because if the dogs if they decided that was a dog toy, it would even though it's been through me, 3 nieces and nephews, and God knows who else, it would last 20 seconds with an Australian Shepherd.
Yeah, this one sits way up there on the shelf.
So there's a lot of sentimentality
Yes.
Amongst those of us in the paranormal field. Now, one that I read a little bit of it, as far as the teaser chapter you put on your website, and
Okay.
Next Rest Stop Earth. That one is nothing in common with anything else that we've talked about tonight.
Not at all. That is my science fiction novel, and it's basically about a teenager who winds up in the Bermuda Triangle. And in the heart of the Bermuda Triangle is a refueling station for UFOs, because all the UFOs in the galaxy run on salt water. And Earth is a giant gas station. It's a rest stop.
See, now I actually would not argue that concept, only I don't think it's really a rest stop so much as it's a place that they like stop to piss.
Well,
You know.
they got that. They have those facilities at the rest stop in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. You can also get snacks there. You could pick up some souvenirs if you'd like. Below decks of the Bermuda Triangle rest stop, there's rooms you can stay at. Of course, there's the living quarters for the people that work there. You can have your spaceship worked on. You can have it fixed up. And, you could pick up a bus, too, if you want to, if you're going to a different part of the galaxy.
No, see, my concept was more like we're like going behind the dumpster at Stuckey's. I mean, in other words, no souvenirs, no facilities. It's just, that's why I like farmers in Illinois are who see most UFOs, because they think they won't be seen.
Well, there's some of those characters in the book as well, because I based all the characters in the book on, because I used to work at a gas station in Maryland, so all the characters in the book are characters I worked with at the gas station.
What a neat way to tie things into your life. I suck at all of this. I just I'm an attention whore, and I do a radio show. Okay, everybody, I want to get the plugs in. We're towards the end of the episode here. We just got a few minutes left. TheGhostDidIt.com. TheGhostDidIt.com. He's got his books. He's got links to the Dark Zone. His blog is there. And of course, keep an eye on the Dark Zone as it expands. They've already got the one series with the Stanley Hotel. It looks like most of that was, at least several episodes of that were posted. I don't think those were all teasers. But looking for big things to come out of this, because the people, you've got quality people behind it. I'll tell you that right up front. I don't respect anybody any more than I respect Dave Schrader. So,
Great guy.
I wouldn't tell him that to his face necessarily, but except now Pfeiffer, I don't think he likes me. So,
No.
We had this. He won't follow me on Twitter, so I just said, "Hell with you." But anyway, he's a hell of a nice guy, but
I'll talk to him.
Yeah, he just made it clear that he was not interested in my particular brand of self promotion, apparently. And Susan, incidentally, the secret to her heart, candy.
Oh, yeah.
I know that for a fact. That's how I met her. Our booths were at Scarefest on the opposite ends of the building, but that girl had to come by 2 or 3 times a day to get a piece of candy out of our candy jar. So
doesn't surprise me.
That and smoking lounges, candy and smoking lounges is pretty much how I meet everybody in the paranormal field. Do you have any appearances coming up that you want to plug before I let you go?
Don't at this time, but I'm always open to doing events and conventions, and if anyone wants me at any of these, you can contact me through my website, theghostdidit.com.
And once again, I wish you all the luck in the world on the Dark Zone, and I'm going to try to, it looks like a very worthwhile project. I wish you all the luck in the world, and I do recommend everybody stop by thedarkzone.tv, thedarkzone.tv, so that you can go ahead and get your free membership and keep up with this stuff. Patrick, thank you so much for coming on the air with me.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great talking with you. And hope to see you soon.
Everybody, this has been Paranormal Filler.